If you're a glass guy running around and you're scratching these cars up, you're not doing it right. You need to reevaluate what you're doing, start over, get some better tools, work on your technique. Your job is to provide the best possible install on every car for every customer. So today we got a 24 Kia Sorento. This is a brand new car, practically brand new. I mean, it's like this car has got 4,000 miles on it. Open the door up, see if you could see the mileage over there in the bottom corner of the gauges. This thing is brand new. There should be no damage on this car. We get this windshield out. It should, completely factory. So we hit on pulling a windshield the other day with hand tools. Today we're going to pull everything with a wire cutout tool. We're going to talk a little bit about blind pinch wells at the bottom that everybody's concerned about. They're worried about cutting. They're worried about tearing cars up. We're going to hit on some of that. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on that, how I like to handle a lot of that stuff. And also, the biggest thing that I want to put on this, the last windshield we did, last couple windshields we've done, we've had videos of, they've had prior damage on the car from previous installs. This car is not going to have that damage. It's going to be brand new. So I'm going to cut this windshield out in one of my preferred methods, and then we're going to trim it out, and I'm going to show you exactly what it should look like when it's done. No ifs, ands, or buts. We got a lot of criticism online about these last couple videos and folks acting like we're a little, acting a little high and mighty. But it should be perfect. That's what you should be striving for. So we're going to show you how to do it that way. This is an OEM windshield we're going back in here with. You can look at the bug on the glass. Nice Kia part. So we're just going to get after it. I'm going to show you how this works. So we talked about this tool a little bit the other day when I use hand tools to cut that other windshield out. There are many different types of wire tools. This is our preferred one. This thing works great. So this is a WRD bat. We've got a couple of them hanging out around the shop. This thing, it just works great. Seems like it's getting about time to lube that one up a little bit. It didn't pump up as fast as I like it to. I'm going to go in right over the VIN so I don't have to worry about my line rubbing against my VIN from one direction or the other. This one's seen its better days, but we're going to use it right now. What I got handy. When I'm setting up this tool, I like to run my bottom corner first. I work from my driver's side. I pull most of my slack on my driver's side line. And then I go around the car, run my other lower corner, and then set my top corner. And then pull the slack from the top. And this is really only going to be relevant to the other glass guys. I like to pull my slack out from the driver's side so I can run my drill on this ear of the tool and hold the slack at the same time so I can make the wire go where I want it to go. Okay. Well, it didn't go where I wanted it to go. Let's try that again. This windshield is actually a windshield I probably normally would have cut out with a hand tool, because any windshield that's got a dip in the top edge like these, they are just simply more difficult to make the line stay where you want it to stay at. Well, I'd have had this thing out already if we were using hand tools. But we're doing it here for demonstration purposes. I'm still not convinced that line's going to stay there, but all right. So one of the main reasons guys use, or folks use, extractors. Not every tech's a guy, but there's a lot of them in our industry. So on a car like this, there's a blind pinch well. down here at the bottom. And you never know where your line is at unless you get under there and feel it. Guys are always worried about cutting sheet metal because even though that's a fiber line, it doesn't look like it's very tough. If you get under there and get hung on a piece of metal, it will cut sheet metal. And you want to talk about having an expensive day. Mess around and actually accidentally cut some sheet metal. I mean, not to mention, reputation damage that may come from tearing somebody's car up like that. There's a little trick I like to do. So, I take my diagonal cutters, snip off one end of a dauber, then you got some pokers. Now, they actually sell poker tools that are made of a thicker material and they're reusable. I've never really had a need for them. But what you can do is you can put these guys up in here, poke it into urethane across the bottom. And this one I've already got the wire where it needs to be at, so it's not a super great demonstration. But what you do is you poke it in here so it gives the wire a guide. You poke them in and then you pull that fiber line and lay it across the top of these, and what it does is it allows the fiber line to go exactly where you want it to, and you can keep it where it needs to be so it does not hang on any sheet metal. This is not a bad car to use an extractor on. I know I drag that tool because so many people use it for everything, and I spend so much time fixing stuff that everybody else messes up. So I want the customer to know, or the consumer, not just my customer, but the consumer to know the difference between good work and bad work. If your car's getting hacked up and you don't know it, you just don't know until it's too late. It's going to pop up again. All right. I've got other tools that I can use to lock this line down in that same spot. This just happened to be what was handy. So. So I like to work back and forth, trying to get set up where I can move my tool to its new location. That way it'll have the best mechanical advantage possible so I don't just start breaking line. That was our set pin that made that crazy noise. They can be a little scary sounding when you pop through them. Bring this guy over. All right, so one of the most crucial steps of this is to make sure you don't get up here cutting wiring. Some of this wiring goes to a rain sensor. It controls your automatic windshield wipers. Another wire goes to a camera, so that camera module controls your ADAS systems. You really want to try to avoid that. That can be a really expensive fix as well. So I keep the mechanical advantage of my line here and don't go breaking everything. Move that over. All right, to a good place right there. We can let this line just go where it wants to go. We don't have to worry about this line getting up. This is actually a glass here, but most vehicles, this is a painted panel. If that line gets across that painted panel, it will leave rub marks in it. It'll leave scratching. Not necessarily scratching, but more rub marks, because it is a fiber line, so it's not really gonna do much scratching. All right, we can bring the rest of our line around and we'll have this thing out. Alrighty. Toss that there, get it out of the way. I'm the world's worst at leaving tools places. So the way I combat that is when I'm done with the tool, I put it up. Because I've given away a lot of tools by accident. So we have removed a windshield without scratching anything. There are multiple ways to do this, and as long as you can do it and achieve the same results, it doesn't matter which way you do it. If you can pull the windshield without doing any damage to the car, you're in the right direction. So now we're going to trim it out and not do any damage. So this whole process is crucial. You want to make sure not to damage this car at all. Now I understand that not all damage is avoidable. Sometimes you get small amounts of damage under there. In many cases, there's a lot of folks that get large amounts of damage. You want to avoid large amount of damage. You want to get as minimal damage as possible. That is the goal. Factory or better, in my opinion, is the goal. If that's not what you're striving for, you're not doing it right. People go out and spend a lot of money on these cars. And the last thing they need and they want is somebody to come out, tear up their car, and they don't have a clue until a couple years later when they've got rust damage, corrosion. If it's an aluminum body car, then they're not going to get rust, they'll get aluminum corrosion. Just toss that on the ground for now. Probably could have used a wider blade here on the bottom. All right, so the goal here is to trim the urethane down to about 2 millimeters thickness, 1 to 2 millimeters thickness all the way around, which we did. This is the most important part. There's not a single scratch on this car, not a single scratch. If you're a glass guy running around and you're scratching these cars up, you're not doing it right. You need to reevaluate what you're doing, start over, get some better tools, work on your technique. Your job is to provide the best possible install on every car for every customer. Every time. There is no excuse, no other excuse. We have the tools now that give us the capability to do these jobs perfectly. So it is your responsibility, it's your duty to make sure you are providing this customer with the best possible result at the end of the day. That's it, nothing less. I get a little heated about this. This bugs me so much. It bugs me so much because I see cars just torn up, just absolutely butchered, and the customer is none the wiser. They don't have an idea. They don't understand that if you get under there and scratch this up, you don't properly prep this material. Now, I'm not saying scratches, sometimes scratches happen. Scratches can't be avoidable. Your goal should be no scratches. But if you do get scratches, prime over them. Go back. Prep that material the right way to make sure there's not going to be any long-term issues. Like we use Sika SK, we use Sika products in general in our shop. Sika SK207, 3-minute flash times on painted parts in metal. Go on 2 coats, full 3 minutes flash in between it. Apply your second coat, 1 more 3-minute flash time. Then you're good to go ahead and run urethane instead of windshield in the hole. So I urge you, if you're a consumer and you need a windshield replaced, pay attention to what your technician's doing. Pay attention to what tools they're using. If you see them out butchering your car up, like, you need to be aware of what kind of product or what kind of quality work that you're getting. Like, it is on you. You can't trust every shop. You just can't. Not all people are trustworthy. Some people are going to damage cars. So you as the consumer, you need to take responsibility and pay attention to what's going on with your car to make sure that you are getting a good product. At the end of the day, you need to make absolutely sure that you pick the best person for the job. So, and I've hit on this a couple times before. Go look at reviews. Read reviews. Please read reviews. Reviews, Facebook comments, on advertisements, they will tell you so much about a business that you're dealing with. We get advertisements in our feed all the time from one of these big national chains. And if you just go read the comments and hit all comments, not just relevant comments, filter through it, look at all comments, and you'll see just how many cars they butcher and walk off from. They won't stand behind their warranties. They're supposed to offer a lifetime warranty for as long as you own the car. And they won't even honor their warranties. You'll have water leaks, scratching, rust. There's so many issues. I've seen torn up dashes. I mean, just cut sheet metal. All kinds of wild issues, and they will not stand behind their product. So, and we see that with independents too. It's probably not as bad with independents because you can sink an independent if an independent shop if you're running around not doing very good work. But these national chains, I mean, one particular national chain, they're just butchering cars. Not all techs are bad, but there's a lot of them. there's definitely a lot of them. So that's going to be it on today's episode. Be sure to go back and watch our last 2 videos. I'm not sure if they're up on YouTube yet. That's coming soon. But they're definitely on Facebook. We've got one talking about corrosion damage on a 23 Charger, where there was an extractor used across the bottom and it was trimmed out around the outside with like some sort of a blade that did a lot of scratching and caused some corrosion. And then we did another one using hand tools to cut out a windshield, talking about it. Now, it had a windshield put in it before, and that car was not destroyed. It wasn't necessarily great work, but they didn't tear anything up, so that's a major plus. And here we are with this one to show you how we believe it should be done every time. So if you go back, look at those other episodes, and we're going to continue to do content like this. We're just going to bring to you how we prefer to do things, how we think the industry should be doing things. And please, I guess, go like, subscribe, share this. We need to try to make as many customers aware as possible, or not necessarily customers, but consumers aware of the kind of work that should be acceptable on their cars. There's no excuse for some of the stuff that's going on in the automotive industry, and I think it's on us to really make sure consumers are aware of what they're getting.